everyone, and welcome. Today, we are jumping into two absolutely massive concepts in Arabic grammar, straight from the Medina book series. We're going to tackle how to show that something belongs to someone, and then we're going to get a handle on grammatical gender. Ready? Let's do this.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll unlock possession in Lesson 5, get the rules down, and then do a quick knowledge check. After that, we'll build right on top of that with gender in Lesson 6, followed by another check-in. It all flows together, so by the end, these ideas will really start to click.
All right, first up, possession. How do we say things like the teacher's desk or the book of Muhammad? How do you link those two words together? Well, Lesson 5 is where we find the answer.
Okay, everything we need to know really starts with this one question. I want you to focus on that key phrase right in the middle. Kitabu Muhammad. Literally, Book of Muhammad. This simple two-word structure, it's the key to this entire concept.
Now, this special construction has a name, of course. It's called al-idafa, or al-idafa, and it's always made of two parts. The first part, the thing being owned, like the book, is called the al-mudaf. And the second part, the owner, like Muhammad, is the al-mudaf ilaihi. That's it. Two parts, two names. Now let's see how to build it.
To make a proper idafa phrase, you just have to follow two golden rules. They're super important. They're not suggestions, but once you know them, you can build these phrases all day long. And this table lays it all out perfectly. Look at the first column for the al-mudaf, the item being possessed. Rule 1, it never takes L. Rule 2, it never takes tanween, that double vowel at the end. It becomes definite just by being attached to the next word. Now look at the second column for the al-mudaf ilaihi, the possessor. This one is simple. It is always in the genitive case, which means it ends with a kasra. So let's go back to our original example and see how it works. Kitabu Muhammadin. Look at kitabu. Does it have al? Nope. Does it have tanween? Nope. Just one dhamma. It perfectly follows the rules for the mudaf. And what about Muhammadin? It ends in kasratain, putting it squarely in the genitive case, exactly what the rule for the mudaf ilaihi told us it would do. See? It just works. Now, speaking of dropping the tanween, Lesson 5 gives us another little rule. It's about the word ya, which means oh. When you use ya to call someone, to get their attention, the name that follows it also drops its tanween. So instead of saying ya aliyun, you'd say ya aliyu. It's a small change, but it's the correct way to address someone. And one last thing from this lesson, it's about pronunciation. It's called hamzatul wasl. You know how some words like ismun, for name, or ibnun, for son, start with that little I sound? Well, if you put another word right before them, that I sound just vanishes. It's designed to make the language flow better. So you'd say ismul waladi, but if you ask a question, it becomes mausmul waladi. Hear that? The I's gone. That's hamzatul wasl in action. Okay, I know that was a bunch of rules, but you're doing great. Let's do a quick check-in to make sure that whole idafa thing is making sense. All right, have a look. How would you correctly say the key of the house? Just think back to our two golden rules. For the first word, the mudaf, we need no L and no tanween. Well, that immediately gets rid of A with the L and C with the tanween. That leaves us with only one option. The second word, the mudaf ilaihi, needs to end in a kasra. And there it is. The answer has to be B, miftahu al-bayti. See, you've got this. And before we move on, here's the new vocabulary from Lesson 5. Lots of great words here that you can now use to practice making your own idafa phrases. So go ahead, pause here, and review them if you'd like.
All right, feeling good about possession? Awesome. Because now we're going to switch gears and move on to our second big topic for today, grammatical gender. And that brings us to Lesson 6. Up until now, whenever we wanted to say this is, we used the word hadza. But suddenly, in Lesson 6, we see sentences like havihi sayyara sun. So what's going on here? Why did this change from hadza to havihi? Well, the answer is gender. You see, in Arabic, every single noun is either masculine or feminine. And the number one biggest giveaway for a feminine noun is this little circular letter at the end, the ta, called ta marbuta. It's a huge clue. Just look how adding it to mudarrisun turns a male teacher into a female teacher, mudarrisatun. But it's not always about the ta marbuta. There are a couple of other key rules you need to know about gender, and they apply to things, not just people. So let's check them out.
Now, this one is really cool, and it's a great little shortcut. Body parts that come in pairs, 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 ears, are treated as feminine, even though they don't have a tamarbuta, and body parts you only have one of, like your head or your nose, are masculine. Simple as that.
Lesson 6 also introduces another way to show belonging, this time using the tiny preposition li. It means for or belongs to, and you just stick it right onto the front of a noun. So you can ask a question like, liman hadihi, which means, whose is this? And the answer could be, hadihi li yasirin. This belongs to Yasir. And hey, notice that Yasir gets a kasra at the end? That's because of the li.
All right, you've got the rules for gender. Time for our final check-in. Let's see if you're a gender grammar guru yet. You ready?
So have a look at these 3 words. We've got moon, spoon, and door. Only one of them is feminine. Take a second. What's the biggest clue we should be looking for? That's right, the tamarbuta. And where do we see it? Right there in option B, milaka, the spoon. That makes it our feminine noun. The other 2 are masculine. So B is the correct answer. Awesome job.
And to wrap things up, here's the new vocabulary for Lesson 6. And you can actually see the rules we just talked about right here in this list. Look at all those words for everyday objects that end in te marbuta. And then at the bottom, there they are, our paired body parts, all treated as feminine. We have covered so much ground today. Seriously, between idafa for possession and now having a solid grasp on gender, you've just unlocked a whole new level of describing the world in Arabic. So my final question is for you. What are you going to describe first? The farmer's car? The messenger's house? The possibilities are literally endless. Thanks for joining me.